Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. I'm Tammy Masterbirdy, best-selling author of the book The Universe is Talking to You, and welcome in to my weekly spirit boost, where I come here live every Thursday on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook to boost your spirit in some way, share some craziness from my life, teach you some stuff about signs and synchronicity, and tapping into the divine higher help line. So today I'm actually going to be talking about signs specifically. I want to share a story from my family about a really cool Father's Day sign that happened this past weekend. And I want to answer any questions that you guys might have about signs. So even if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to leave a comment, and then I will go back and check them out and answer anything that I can. So let's jump in. And again, whether you're on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, you can you can pop a comment in and let me know if you have a question about anything regarding signs. But I'm going to answer some that were sent in, and then I'm going to share the really cool story with you. So first and foremost, well, let's start with the story because it's a fun story. So you know how I always tell you your loved ones, specifically when we're talking about signs, right? We can get signs from the universe, we can get signs from our angels and guides, we can get signs from our loved ones who have passed on. So whenever I'm talking about specifically our loved ones that have passed on, I always tell you they will use their name, right? Because they will use something that remind you of them. They want you to think of them to know that they are around, right? So they're going to use something that is going to remind you of them. One of the easiest things is using their own name, right? And so that, of course, is going to make you think of them. Sometimes they'll use something that might be specific to them, maybe a scent that reminds you of them, a particular character. Like I've had people say certain Disney characters. When I see that, I think of my loved one. So they always use something that reminds you of them. Well, my uncle gave an amazing sign to my aunt and my cousin on Father's Day. So I was by my sister's house to see my dad, and my aunt called me. She was on her way home from, I guess they went to dinner or whatever. I think they were down the Jersey Shore because we're in Jersey here. And she called me. She said, Tammy, I have to share this with you. This is crazy. So I guess they were out to dinner. They were doing something, and someone had a dog, specifically a German Shepherd dog that my aunt said she noticed because it looked exactly like a dog that my uncle had, like when they were first dating or years back, right? Looked exactly like this German Shepherd dog. I don't know what it was about it, but specifically like looked like this dog. And she said it just caught her attention because she thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much that looks like. I think the dog's name was Princess or something like that. She's like, and I just couldn't believe it. She said, so I guess my cousin went over and was like petting the dog, talking to the owners. Oh, what a beautiful dog, what have you. And I preface this, by the way, to say my uncle's name is Joe. His son, my cousin, Joe. Lots of Joes in Italian families, right? So he goes over to the dog, and my aunt's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much that dog looks like Princess. That's so crazy, blah, blah, blah. They're talking, and my cousin says, oh, what's the dog's name? And the guy says, oh, his name is Joe. Now, first of all, I don't know that many dogs named Joe. Maybe, I guess my dad named his dog Nikki. So I guess there are names out there that people name, dogs after. But Joe just seems like, I don't know, it's not like a common dog name, at least not to me. But anyway, the point is the dog looked like my uncle's dog, and then the dog was named my uncle's name on Father's Day. This is a sign. She said, oh my God. I said, I said, first of all, that's incredible. Second of all, I don't know that many dogs named Joe. Maybe that's just me. But even so, even if it was a common dog name, Buddy or something like that, and your father's, The point is, it looked like the dog. They wound up it grabbed their attention. They walked over, they talked to the owner, they found out the dog was named after my uncle. This is how they use their name. You might hear their name screamed out from somewhere, right? That's another way that they will use their name. But I just thought, how awesome is that the dog not only looked like a dog he had, but was named his name. So, I mean, they all, by now, they just accept things like that. And my aunt gets excited and she called me and she said, oh my gosh, this is the most incredible Father's Day thing. And actually my uncle's been on it with signs lately too, because when my husband and I were in St. Augustine, Florida back in April, we happened to be walking past, we were on there's a famous street there called St. George Street. And so we were just looking, there was all shops and restaurants and stuff. And we were walking around and my husband goes, oh, I think this is a crystal store, because you know me, everywhere I go, I got to find the crystal stores. And so my husband goes, oh, I think this is a metaphysical store. And it was down this side street type thing. And there were all these little shops and you had to walk down it. So I said, oh, so I went to go look at the sign that had all of these different names of places. And above the crystal shop was a clock shop named Father Time. And I stopped in my tracks. I said, oh my gosh, that's my uncle. Because number one, my uncle, for a living, he used to work at Bulova and Rolex, and he fixed and repaired watches and clocks. He used to also own a clock shop. And years ago, when we were going to Florida, when I was young, grammar school, and we weren't flying, we drove from New Jersey to Florida. And this was before cell phones, right? So we used CB radios. So everybody had it was 3 different cars. It was 2 of my cousins and my aunts and uncles, and then our family. And everybody had these CB radios, and we would talk to each other on these CB radios as we were driving down to Florida. So everybody had CB radio names. I was French Toast because I was obsessed with French toast and I ate it all the time. So that was my name. But anyway, my uncle's name, his nickname on that CB radio was Father Time. And so when I stopped and I saw, oh my gosh, not only is it a clock shop, but it's Father Time, I quickly took a picture, sent it to my aunt. I said, oh my gosh, Uncle Joe is here. And I said, didn't we call him Father Time on the CB radio? And she said, yes. So these are the ways that they will get in touch with you. They will use things that right? So my husband his attention went to the sign that said that there was a metaphysical shop, which excited me because then I had to go in, right? But above that was the Father Time. So that's just my story that I wasn't even planning on telling, but it just reminded me of my uncle. And then the dog being named Joe was on Father's Day, incredible. And that is how they will let you know. So I don't know if any of you got signs from your fathers who have passed away. I often will get signs from my mother on Mother's Day, just also because her birthday is always right around Mother's Day. Her birthday is May 9th. And so it always falls either right before or, right around Mother's Day, usually right before Mother's Day. And so, they will let you know they're around. So those were 2 recent sign stories from my life that I thought were incredible. Now I want to answer some questions. And again, if you guys have questions about signs, about getting a sign from a loved one, about a sign that you got that you weren't sure about, just put it in the comment section and I'll be happy to grab those questions before I leave. So, and that same thing on Instagram, I'll watch, and if I see anything come up, I'll stop. My cat is bumping into my chair and just moved me. So here are some questions that came into me beforehand that prompted me to do this. And I love when you guys send me questions. Please send me questions via Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, wherever. Send me the questions because it will prompt me to have something to discuss with you. And then I usually can find something from my own life because there's always craziness happening around here. So here's an amazing question that I got. Somebody said to me, now I talk about signs from loved ones, but I also talk about signs from the universe. I talk about signs from angels. I talk about the fact that the universe gives you signs and synchronicities to send you messages because it is always talking to you, to guide you toward what it is you want to manifest, to guide you towards something that it knows is good for you, it is constantly trying to grab your attention and guide you. So someone said to me, there's a lot of talk, a lot of people talk about numbers as signs, specifically angel numbers, right? So your typical angel numbers are like 111, 222, 333, 1111, 555, whatever. And often you will see them like on a clock, when you go to look at a time and you're like, oh, literally it happened to me this morning. I went to go feed my goats outside and I looked at the thing and I saw 1111 and I always go, oh, thank you, angels. Hello. And to me, 1111 is like reaffirming that my manifestations, I'm on the right track and I'm on my way. And I just know that it's my angels. And I always stop and say, thank you, angels. Always. So somebody said to me, when do you look up a number? Like what does it have to repeat? Or there was some questions about when do I look up a number? And so here was my answer. And I believe I answered it on the social media post. It might have been TikTok or Instagram. I can't remember, but it was an awesome question. So thank you, whoever you are, if you're out there. And she said to me, when do you look up a number? So here are the two times I always look up a number. Number one, if I see a repeated number like 111, 222, 333. I know I've looked them up so many times before that I know what a lot of them mean. But if I see something like that one time, I will stop and say, oh my gosh, thank you, angels, for being around me. And sometimes I know what it means. And sometimes I'll go, oh my gosh, what is 555 again? Or what is 333 or whatever? And I'll look it up, especially if I continue to look at the clock at the same time. If every day it seems like you're looking at the clock and seeing 1111, not just once. Now, if I see it once, I say, thank you, angels, hello. If you continue to look like, I keep seeing 222 every time. It's so weird. I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm seeing, I roll over and it's 222. And then every time I always wind up looking at my phone in the afternoon when it's 222. It's so weird. Why does this keep happening to me? Repetitive. The angels know that you are busy, that life is chaotic, that we miss stuff. Okay. So it will repeat until you get it. So I look that up, right? I will look it up if I see it once and it grabs my attention, but especially if I see it multiple times, I will look it up. That's for those repetitive numbers like 222, 333, etc. The second time is if I see a random number that I know is not my birth date or my mother's birth date or a significant other's birth date or something like that, because I usually know a birth date is just them letting them know that we're around, right? Or that they are around. But if I see a specific number over and over and over, so let's say, for example, you wind up, you just keep seeing 595. I don't know, it's just whatever came to me. You get a receipt and it's 595. You see a license plate that's 595. You just keep seeing this number pop up in different places, and you're like, why do I keep seeing 595? This is so weird. You got to look that up because there is a message in that. If you wake up at the same time every night, whatever number that might be on the clock, it could be 245 or 232 or whatever it might be. And you're like, oh my gosh, every night I'm waking up and I'm seeing this particular number on the clock. This has happened to me, by the way. Look it up because there's a reason you're turning over and checking the time at the same time every night. Or if you're seeing that same number over and over again as you're looking different places, and you're like, why is this coming up? And the number doesn't mean anything to you. It's not a birthday. It's nothing like that. Like my mother will use her birthday 0509 or 059. I know that's her. I don't need to look that up. I know that's my mom's birthday. But if you are seeing a number, always look that up because I promise you there's something in that. Okay. There's some type of a message that the angels are using, or your loved ones, right? But I always feel like angels use numbers for the most part, but it could be the universe itself. Someone's trying to get a message to you, right? Oh my gosh, this cat is crawling onto my lap from under the desk. Somebody is trying to get a message to you. You always want to look that up because if it's repeating, if it's coming into your awareness more than once, and over, there's a message in that. And a lot of times when you get the message, you'll stop seeing the number. If you continue to see the number, you now know what it means. It's just the universe reinforcing that specific message, right? So that was the number question that I got, and I thought that was really, really great, because I think we all see that, and we're, sometimes people are not sure, like, should I look something up? Same thing with an animal. So if you see an animal doing strange things over and over again, like, I always use the example of a squirrel. Like, if you see a squirrel come up to your door and is staring at you, and you're like, that's really weird. Why is a squirrel doing that? And then you go somewhere else and somebody has a squirrel on their t-shirt, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's a squirrel again. And then you pull up to your house, and then there's a squirrel sitting on your porch, kind of just hanging out, looking at you. Why do I keep seeing squirrels? You want to look it up, right? So that type of thing. And anytime you see like a bird or something doing something out of the ordinary, stop and pay attention, because they're using themselves to give you a message. Your loved ones, the angels, whomever, your guides, the universe, they will use animals and things like that to grab your attention, especially one that is doing things that are strange. I talk about a fly in my book, for those of you who read it, that got me a message. And then once I got the message, the fly flew away after it was like literally annoying me for hours. So animals will get you messages also. And you always want to look up what is the metaphysical meaning of what have you. And often you will be drawn to the site that has the perfect message for you. Same thing. It's like using oracle cards, right? You get the perfect message for you. You can do the same thing with Google. So that's when do I look up a sign? Another question that I got recently was, a loved one had recently passed away, and the person was not getting a sign, and they were wondering, like, is it too early? Is it too early for me to get a sign? So if you've heard me talk about this before, I always say, it's not that it's too early for them to send you one. Sometimes you are in a state of grief. You are in a state of lower vibration because of that passing, that it's harder for you to notice it, right? So when we are in a lower vibration, it's harder for us to notice the signs, because those signs are high vibe. It's harder for us to notice what's going on around us. So it's not that your loved one cannot send you a sign, because I have gotten signs from loved ones. My mother sent me a sign, I think, the moment she left her body. And again, I talk about that in The Universe Is Talking to You. I've had pets send me signs within hours of passing. So it's not that they are not able to do it. It's often that you are not able to see it. And I get this question a lot, and I'm glad I got it recently again, because I think sometimes people feel like it's not possible, and maybe they won't even look for a sign, or maybe they'll get a sign and think, no, that can't be my loved one. They just passed, 3 hours ago. Oh no, it can. It totally can. Trust me, from my own life, I've seen it multiple times with pets as well as human beings. And then in the reverse of that too, I just have to say, oftentimes I will get the question of my loved one's been gone X amount of years, and I stopped getting signs. And if you stopped getting signs, it's because you're not seeing them. It's not because they have been gone for so long that they're no longer around you. Because my mother has been gone for over 20 years, and the woman is still on it, like, all the time, sending me signs. So your loved one is still around. Ask them for a sign if you have not seen it. And if your loved one has recently passed, you can certainly ask for a sign, but be patient with yourself to be able to notice it. Be patient with yourself, because you are in that state of grief. You are in that lower vibration, and it may be harder for you. You may just be missing what they're trying to send you. So don't think that they're not. Don't think that they're not around, or that they're not seeing it. So those are just some recent questions that I've gotten about signs. Oh, and there was one other one, and then I'll go. If you have any questions, type them in now, and I'll answer them before I jump off. And again, if you have a question and you're watching this on the replay, please post it in there. I will come in and answer the question. The other thing that that people will say to me is, why am I not getting signs? Why am I not getting signs? I don't understand. So number one, I just talked about the specific, if your loved one has just passed on, if you're in a lower vibration, but that goes for any time in your life that you are at a lower vibration. It is going to be harder for you to notice signs. In the 5 steps that I give you in the universe is talking to you, the 5th one is raising your vibration. And it's really just about noticing and shifting your energy throughout the day, doing what you can to boost yourself, to feel good, to connect to joy as much as possible. And then you're going to be more likely to see them. The other thing is, if your life is crazy and chaotic and you know who you are, right? My life is definitely still chaotic, but not the way that it was, because I use spiritual tools all the time, all day, every day, to bring myself out of it. Okay. That's why we have all of these spiritual tools. And so if you know that you are chaotic and running around and crazy, it is going to be harder for you to notice the signs because you're distracted. You're literally distracted from them. So that's another thing. And then I always tell people, look into, do I have a belief that I can't get them, or that my loved one doesn't send them to me? That's another one. If you have a belief that you can't do something, or can't see something, or won't find something, or can't do something, oh man, it's going to be a million times harder for you to do it, because literally your brain won't allow it. That's a whole other situation. But that was the other question that came in that sort of prompted me to do this. But let me just check if there's any. I'm just checking Instagram to make sure that I'm not missing any questions. So let me just see. Trudy says, are signs sent via dreams, and how to interpret them? Yeah, signs can definitely be sent via dreams. If you have a dream of a loved one and it is a happy dream, if you have a dream of a loved one and it feels good, then that is a visitation from your loved one. They will never come to you in a scary, nightmare-y dream. I just want to check Instagram really quick. Oh, yay! I just saw something artist. I can't see. I just want to make sure you didn't have a question, but that's awesome. That is so amazing. She said she's reading my book and she's seen signs and number patterns all the time. So, Trudy, back to you. So if you have a sign, if you have a dream of a loved one, there is definitely signs in that. I have had dreams that have told me to do things in my business, like ideas that will come to me. The universe directs you through ideas that come to you and you get excited about, whether they're in dreams or in your real life, through signs and through synchronistic experiences. But yes, so sometimes if you have a dream, especially if you have a dream more than once, or if you have a dream that you're like, oh my gosh, if it's giving you an idea or it's telling you to do something. If you have a dream that is kind of scary or nightmare-y or whatever, those I don't pay as much attention to, unless you know that you are someone that has like prophetic dreams where you have a dream and then things happen. But if you have a dream, especially of a loved one who has passed on, and it is a happy dream, it is a visitation. Another thing that I had learned through the medium Karen Noe, she's an author. And she's awesome, and she's based in New Jersey also. She always says, if you have a dream and your loved one physically touches you in the dream, 100% it's a visitation. And I've had dreams where my mother was hugging me and I woke up in tears, and that's how real it was. So that is definitely a visitation also. But again, those scary, nightmare-y types of dreams like that, don't, if you're reliving their death or anything like that, God forbid, that's not a visitation. That's not them. That's your subconscious mind playing out stuff. If that makes sense. Okay. Lorraine, my sister always gets the number 9/11, the day my father died. I never get this, or I don't notice it, but I do get the sign I assigned to him. So that might just be the way he speaks to your sister, because she got it, right? So the way our loved ones work is that when they send us a sign, like my mother sent me her birthday and I got it. Well, if I got it and she knows I got it, she's going to keep using it, right? So your sister noticed it, got the sign, they're going to keep using that. Or your father is going to keep using that for her because now they made that connection. This is why I tell you to record things down somewhere. I like to keep like a signs and synchronicity journal, which I talk about in The Universe is Talking to You, so that you can realize the ways that your specific loved ones speak to you, because often it is different. Now, because you know the 9/11, if you see it now in the future, you're probably going to think of him because your sister does, right? So you may grab onto that sign also. My sister now also looks at my mother's birthday, although honestly, I think I get it more than she does. So you said he uses the sign you assigned to him. That's amazing. You got the sign. He was like, she got it. I'm going to keep using it. So often our loved ones will communicate in different ways with different family members based on what they recognize. That doesn't mean your loved one, your dad didn't use that number with you. It's just that you didn't recognize it. So he moved on to the sign you assigned him because you did recognize it, right? So now moving forward, pay attention to that, because I promise you, if you see it, that's also your dad. Because if he's using it with your sister, he's probably also using it with you. You're just not recognizing it. Hopefully that makes sense. Happy Thursday, Natalie. Oh, Natalia, yes, love signs from the universe. Once you're aware of them, it's amazing how they are there. It really, really is. Once you wake up to it, once you realize how like miraculous this universe actually is and how much communication we have with our angels and our guides that we're not aware of, and we start actually engaging in a conversation back, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. That's why I get so excited about it. That's why I wrote a whole book about it. Valerie, how about certain scents? I keep smelling my son's scent in different parts of my house. Definitely they use scents. I have smelled my mother. I don't even know. It's like kind of like a perfumey scent, but I have smelled her on the subway in New York City. Okay. Like random times. I know people whose loved ones who has passed on who smoked cigars, and they will just smell cigar smoke or pipe tobacco, and or cigarette smoke, right? Sometimes they'll even use that for somebody who was like really a smoker. But yes, they will use specific scents, specific perfumes, and you will, especially if you're having it in different parts of the house, 100% that's him. Do you know why? Remember in the beginning, I said to you, they will use things that make you think of them so that you're thinking of them and then you know they're there. If your son is using that scent to say, hey mom, think of me, I'm here, I'm with you, right? That's what they do. They will use specific scents 100% of the time. John, I get a variety of signs: feathers, coins, mostly dimes, red roses, and perfume scents. I think they are mostly from a dear friend I lost in 2001. They bring me so much comfort. That's amazing. They probably are, especially, well, perfume scents, especially if that reminds you of that person. And again, the way our loved ones do it, that I have found in my own life and in everybody that I've talked to and taught, when you recognize that sign and you say, I don't know why my focus got messed up. When you recognize the sign and you were like, oh my gosh, that's so and so, they're going to use it again and again and again because you got it, right? They're like, oh my gosh, this works. This sign works. I'm going to use this again. So yes, if you are in a way, you are inadvertently assigning the signs to your dear friend, which is why I tell people assign a sign if you're not getting them, because inadvertently, when we get a sign that they send to us and we're like, oh my gosh, they will use it again and again. And in a way, we're assigning that sign, right? So 100%. Let's see. Yes, Natalia. So remember I said repeating numbers. You can see them on a license plate. You can see them wherever. If you're seeing repeating numbers, either in that repeated pattern or you just keep seeing a number, any random number over and over and over again, look up that number. What is the metaphysical meaning of blah, 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 whatever that number is? to get the specific message. The one website that I always wind up going to for number signs often, and there's a lot of them, but I often go to Joanne Sacred Scribes, is a great website, and she has like every number under the sun on there. But yes, if you are seeing repeating numbers, even on license plates, if it's capturing, if it's grabbing your attention, yes, yes, yes. Aura. My sister passed recently. She is now my guardian angel. She shows me signs of birds and seeing angel numbers on the clock. Like, oh, yes, I have seen these numbers and birds many times since she passed on. That's amazing. Yes, 100%. And she's just letting you know, like, hey, I'm here. You know, oftentimes they just want you to know randomly. But sometimes they will come around and you will notice they're around during specific times in your life where you really need to hear from them. I found that as well. Oh, John, you said you've gotten perfume scents on the New York City subway many times. Yes, just like randomly, and you're like, oh my gosh, that reminds me of whomever it might be. That was the point. It kind of went your way. So yeah. So yeah. So that is why what I wanted to come on here and talk about a little bit, because I think sometimes people still have so many questions and they're trying to figure out like how do signs work, and that's why I wrote The Universe is Talking to You, and that's why I talk so much about this, because the universe really, and when I say the universe, I mean your angels, your guides, your loved ones. The universe really, really is constantly communicating with you. It is an amazing resource that we need to start taking advantage of and utilizing in our lives to guide us. My next book that's coming out in April of next year, The Higher Help Method, is literally all about that. It's all about the other side of the coin of like asking the universe for help and then allowing it to guide you once you start noticing those signs and synchronicities. So it's sort of the other half of this book, the other side of this book. And I can't wait for that to come out as well. But of course, everything takes forever. So you will be hearing me talk about it from now until then. Once it's actually available for pre-order and all of that, I'll definitely let you know. But yeah, signs are just amazing and they change your entire life. And that's why the book says tap into signs and synchronicity to reveal magical moments every day as the subtitle, because literally it's like some Harry Potter in your life every day. It's just magical. It's amazing how much the universe and your angels and your guides and your loved ones are truly involved in your life and helping you and guiding you and directing you and trying to grab your attention to either guide you where you need to go or reroute you when you're headed in the wrong way. So thank you all for being here with me again for another weekly spirit boost. And stay tuned, because I do have a special guest coming up. I got to check the date of when she is coming up, that she'll be on here with me. But I always pull people that I love and adore and am excited about and want to share with you. So stay tuned for that. I will be back here next Thursday, of course, for another weekly spirit boost at noon Eastern. If you are watching this on the replay, please leave a question in the comments and I will be happy to answer it here. And maybe I will make a video about it, or talk another weekly spirit boost about it. I always like to answer your questions. You guys, if you have a question, odds are other people have a similar question as well. So thank you all for being here. Bye, John. Thank you, everybody, for being here with me. Have a beautiful and amazing and wonderful weekend. Do something to bring yourself joy and boost your vibration. And until next time, I will see you here in a week. Bye, everyone.